Hi, welcome back to Bounce Forward with me, Tiff Hall. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this podcast, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to elders past and present. Kylie had a great question. Hey, Tiff, I'm doom scrolling in bed all the time, and I know it's affecting my sleep. I'm always looking for that hit of dopamine, I guess. What can I do to stop this bad habit? Any ways of biohacking my way out of it? Oh, such a good question. Oh, we all do it. Doom scrolling in bed, it's totally addictive. I do it occasionally and I slap my wrist. I say, Tiff, stop it. Like, it's so bad. And I even tell Ed, if you see the blue light happening, like, just rip the phone out of my hand because it's so bad for your sleep. You mentioned biohacking, and there is something you can do actually. You can try a fast, a dopamine fast. Now, dopamine is a really powerful neurochemical that gets released in areas of the brain that gives you feelings of pleasure, satisfaction, and more importantly, motivation. And it also has a role to play in functions such as memory, learning, mood, sleep, concentration, and movement. So it's pretty epic, right? So if we aim to detox from certain activities or bad habits that spike our dopamine levels, and you mentioned dopamine, we can sort of recalibrate our brains and help reset our body's natural dopamine levels. And, you know, in order to dopamine detox effectively, it's important to first understand really how dopamine functions at a cellular level. So we're trying to not get those fast hits of, you know, on Instagram, if someone likes your post, you're like, that's a hit of dopamine, you know? You want to sort of earn your dopamine and recalibrate your brain that way. Dopamine can be negatively affected if we're constantly doing stuff that creates those spikes and we don't allow our brains to really balance and come back chemically, right? It's similar to addiction because your mood drops, but you can chase and top up on the dopamine with instant gratification that takes less effort for short bursts. And this then triggers a need for more and more and more, increasing frequency and intensity of the stimulus in order to get the same hit, right? It can really wreak chaos on our brain chemistry and create even dopamine depletion if you're not careful. And I find, like, I've banned myself from internet shopping, for example, because I know that is a spike in dopamine. That is just me click, click, click. And even when it arrives, I'm not even excited. I'm just like, it was the action of buying it online and clicking it through that was the dopamine hit. A dopamine fast works by withdrawing from stimulus stuff that is from stimulating stuff to restore our brain chemistry. So think shopping online, doom scrolling Instagram, other instant gratification apps, sugar. Fasting from these can restore your brain chemistry to a healthy baseline so that you're better able to regulate your mood and have normal release of dopamine. One way of really challenging yourself is to set yourself a hard goal and then go and try and achieve it, and by getting a reward and hit rather than engaging in the cheap hits of dopamine online over and over and over again. So this is where fitness comes in. Try a fitness challenge like a half marathon or an 8-week challenge at your gym, or, a planking challenge where you're going to build up over a certain amount of time to doing a 5-minute plank. Try these challenges and then you can build up and work hard and then achieve a goal. And that is a good dopamine hit over time. It's not the quick hits all the time. So what are the signs that you're low in dopamine? Well, it can be a lack of motivation, tiredness, feeling anxious or depressed, difficulty sleeping, low sex drive, moodiness, anger, low self-esteem, even having issues with memory and concentration. Not cool, no thanks. You don't want any of those. So doing the hard work of abstaining from quick fixes like doom scrolling in bed can really help to restore your brain, your mood, your energy, your sex drive, your sleep, your concentration. It's amazing. So whilst I recognize that dopamine, you can't fast completely from it because it naturally occurs in our brains, right? But be creative and think of other ways you can feel good rather than doom scrolling and the quick hits. So what about grounding your feet in grass for a couple of minutes? Feels beautiful. Being outdoors in the shining sun. Crossing off a to-do list, that's a dopamine hit, or a not to-do list. You can make a not to-do list. Exercising, having a long bath, reading a good book, doing something social with friends. These are all things that you can build into your life, and they're not instant gratification, but they're nourishing and helpful for you, and you'll get to the end of your day and your brain will be really, really, really happy. Biohacking, you absolutely can do it with a dopamine fast. You can try that and try setting that hard goal. Think about it now. What can you sign up to? What can you do that is hard and challenging and delays gratification? And practice that. You need to practice things. It's like any muscle you need to strengthen. You need to practice it. So practice not having instant gratification. And it's hard. It's super hard. It takes me forever to even think of things that don't give me instant gratification because, we're in a society where we want it now, we want it now, we want it now. I think it's so important to try and look after our brain chemistry, minimize the dopamine quick hits, and really strive to have those long-term goals and the long-term gratifications and to look after ourselves. And, just put your phone away at night in another room. Use an old school alarm that isn't attached to your phone so you get up in the morning and it doesn't affect your alarm. And just don't have your phone in your room. That is like number one rule. Thanks so much for listening to Bounce Forward. I love having your company, so please DM me on Instagram at tiffhall_xo and let me know all the questions you'd love me to cover. Don't forget to rate and review me on your podcast app. Speak soon. Happy days.